Hello everybody and welcome back to Transformers TCG Deck Techs, where we dare to think outside the box and we have fun doing it. My name is Jimmy, and earlier today, the guys over at Wreck and Roll, which if you have not checked out their content, it's definitely a must watch. They have some of the best videos for Transformers TCG on YouTube. And also, don't forget to check out their Patreon account as well as mine. We would love to have your guys' support so we can continue to bring you guys some awesome content. But they posted a video that involved a deck that Frenchie has been working on for quite a while. A little while ago, Frenchie played a deck that I had created called Skywarp's Lazarus, and it revolved around Skywarp from Wave 2. And both Frenchie and I really like the character, so we've been trying to figure out, ways to, build decks around that character outside of Skywarp's Lazarus. And he has, a great idea in the video that they posted. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the deck that I've come up with. That's an alternate way to play Skywarp. So obviously the deck revolves around Skywarp from Wave 2. And he has the alt mode ability that says, when you flip to this mode, return a card that has no battle icons from your scrap pile to hand. There are quite a few cards that don't have icons on them, and they're mostly very powerful cards because they don't have icons. That kind of balances out the card. If you have, multiple icons on a card, the cards tend to not be as powerful. So you kind of have to figure, in order to balance out a card with no icons, it's got to be, pretty top notch. But in Skywarp's Lazarus, I used I Still Function and Ready for Action as my cards with no icons. But in this deck, neither of those cards show up. So, I'm kind of excited to show you guys this version. But on the bot mode side, it says once per turn, when you play or flip a battle card that has no battle icons, this gets +3 damage and +3 armor until end of turn. So this really helps the damage output and the defensive capability of Skywarp. Even if you don't flip the card off the top, you can still play a card to get this to trigger. So regardless of how, his ability triggers, he's doubling up his attack power. And obviously having 3 defense instead of 0 defense is much, much better. So the deck revolves around Skywarp. And while Skywarp's Lazarus was a very offensive deck, this is a very defensive deck. And I'm going to show you guys a combination of characters that I used in a previous video that came out earlier today. But I've fallen in love with this combination. And the first character is Flame War. And like I said in the other video, we see Flame War a lot, and it's with good reason. She's in a lot of decks that try to play defense because in bot mode, each of your characters has tough 1. So, giving your characters an extra flip on defense is really great. It helps them, stay upright for much longer. But in alt mode, it says, when you flip to this mode, each of your characters gets bold 1 until end of turn. This won't be coming into play at all in this deck. This is very heavy on blue. So we're not going to get much benefit out of this mode. So we're going to keep her primarily in bot mode. And the other character that I've been using a lot with Flame War recently is Dead End. And in alt mode, Dead End has tough 1. So on your first turn, you flip Flame War, give everybody tough 1. You attack in alt mode with Dead End, and they're forced to attack back into a character that already has tough 2. So that's really incredible on your first attack. But in bot mode, it says when you flip to this mode, draw a card. That's pretty handy if you don't have anything in your hand that's really worth playing, or if you want to try to dig one more card deeper to draw that one card that's going to help you. That's an okay ability. Now, Dead End, even though he only has 7 health, with the tough 1 from himself and the tough 1 from Flame War, and any additional tough that you give him through upgrades, he's going to survive, for quite a while. So that's the combination of characters that I'm using in this deck. It comes up to 20 stars. So we're actually going to have 5 stars worth of battle cards in the deck. So we'll go ahead and start looking at the battle cards. And we'll start by looking at the upgrades. And the first upgrade that we'll look at is Armed Hovercraft. And Armed Hovercraft reads, when you put this on a ranged character, do 1 damage to each enemy. Now, both Flame War and Skywarp are both specialists, and they're not ranged, but Dead End is ranged. And because of how much damage Dead End can, defend against, he's actually going to be on the table for quite a while. But even if he's not, we do want to try to play this on him early and often. So I went ahead and put 3 copies of Armed Hovercraft in the deck. The next card is Energon Axe. And it reads, put on damage characters only. Gives your character Pierce 2, and it's a +3 damage weapon. So, it's got a blue icon, so it makes it good for this type of deck. But, giving your character +3 damage and Pierce 2 is no joke. It's probably my favorite weapon in the game, pound for pound. And putting this on Skywarp will actually take him up to 9 damage if you use or flip a non-icon card. But because of how great this card is, I went ahead and put 3 copies of Energon Axe in the deck. The next card is Scoundrel's Blaster. And it's a weapon that you put on Decepticons only. All of our characters are Decepticons, so we're good. But it says, while the upgraded character is attacking an Autobot, it has Pierce 2. It also gives our character +2 damage, has a blue and a green icon. So this is also a really good fit for this deck. But because it has a green icon, we only really need 2 copies of Scoundrel's Blaster in the deck. Okay, so now we're going to show you some cards that are going to help us play defense. And the first card is Sparring Gear. And it's an armor that gives our character Tough 2. And this works really well in concert with Flame War, because if Flame War is in bot mode, which, she's going to stay in for the whole game, by putting this on our character's automatically going to have Tough 3. Now, if it's Dead End and he's in alt mode, he's going to have Tough 4. So, just by putting this on one of our characters, it's really going to help that character survive a lot longer. It has an orange icon, which, is okay. It's not going to hurt the defense of the deck, that much. But it does have a green icon, so we only put 2 copies of Sparring Gear in the deck. The next card is Evasive Maneuvers. It's got a blue icon, and it's an armor that gives our character Tough 3. So again, as much tough as we have in this deck, our characters are going to be around for quite a while. But unfortunately, after the upgraded character defense, you have to scrap this card. So, but that's fine, because with all the blue that's in the deck, and again, the tough from Flame War, whomever we put this on is going to stick around after that attack. So we went ahead and put 3 copies of Evasive Maneuvers in the deck. The next card is one of Brian's favorites from Rick and Rule. That's Field Communicator. It's got a white icon. It's a utility that says when you put this on a specialist, scrap the top card of your deck, you may play that card. It also gives +1 damage, which is actually really good for a utility. But we have 2 specialists in this deck. So, we have 2 targets for this, and we really don't have any cards in the deck that we wouldn't want to play off the top of the deck. So I went ahead and put 3 copies of Field Communicator in the deck. Okay, so those are all the upgrades. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the actions. And like I said earlier, we have 20 stars worth of characters. So we can have up to 5 cards in the deck with a star on it. And the first card that I put in is Bolt of Lightning. This is one of the cards in the deck that doesn't have an icon, so we can get this back to our hand with Skywarp. But it's an action that says do 3 damage to an enemy. Being able to get this back, over and over and over again is really going to put a hurting on the opponent's characters. There's, at least in my meta, there is a lot of blue decks. So being able to do 3 damage without having to worry about armor is fantastic. But because of how good this card is, we went ahead and put 3 copies of Bolt of Lightning in the deck. The next card is Strafing Run. This is our other card that has no icons on the card. So we can also get this back with Skywarp if this is actually the better option for what we're trying to accomplish. And this is an action that says do 1 damage to each enemy. So this is really good against decks that, have a lot of characters, especially, the 5 or 6 wide combiner decks. This is also good against, like 4 wide tanks that I've seen, on YouTube and at my local gaming store. But there will be times where this is a much better option than just doing 3 damage to somebody. So I went ahead and put 3 copies of Strafing Run in the deck. The next card is Marksmanship. And it has a blue icon, and it's an action that reads, if you have a ranged character on the battlefield, do 2 damage to an enemy in bot mode. So again, Dead End is the only character that we have in the deck that's ranged, but he's going to be sticking around for a while. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to play this card. It's kind of awkward because it chooses the opposing character for you sometimes when they only have 1 character that's in bot mode, but still having 2 damage on a card that has a blue icon is very strong. So we went ahead and put 3 copies of Marksmanship in the deck. The next card is Underhanded Tactics. And this card reads, do 1 damage to an enemy. If it's KO'd this way, repair 1 damage from one of your Decepticons. Has a blue icon, so, getting direct damage from, an action with a blue icon is, again, incredible, even though it's only 1 damage. But there is the potential that, you can knock out one of your opposing characters and repair 1 damage from any one of your characters since they're all Decepticons. So I went ahead and put 3 copies of Underhanded Tactics in the deck. So, of course, we're trying to do as much direct damage as possible, so we need, a way to get cards into our hand. So we're going to use Pep Talk for that, and it's an action with a blue icon that draws you 2 cards. Obviously, the more cards we have in our hand, the more options we have. It'll help us, play an upgrade and play one of our direct damage actions. So I went ahead and put 3 copies of Pep Talk in the deck. The next card, which is also going to help us push damage through, but in a different way, is The Bigger They Are. It's an action with a blue icon that reads, one of your characters gets +2 damage till end of turn, and while it's attacking an enemy this turn that has more stars than it, it gets Pierce 4. So we have 2 characters in our team that are 5 stars. So there is a lot of characters out there that are going to have more stars than them. And this is going to be used primarily, for Flame War and Dead End. If you play this on Dead End while in alt mode, he gets +2 damage, which takes his damage up to 4, and he has Pierce 4. So he's going to get, the full benefit out of this card, even though he has very low natural attack damage. But since this card is so strong, we went ahead and put 3 copies of The Bigger They Are in the deck. Okay, so we're going to need, a card to, help us with opposing upgrades, and that's going to be Vaporize. It's an action with a blue icon that says, scrap an enemy upgrade. So because we're trying to play defense with this deck, this is primarily going to target enemy upgrades with Pierce, basically. There's going to be other upgrades that we may want to take out as well, but we're probably going to be focusing primarily on that. But I'm trying to keep the deck to 40 cards. I would have loved to put a 3rd copy in, but I only have 2 copies of Vaporize in the deck. Okay, so we still have 2 stars that we can spend on our battle cards. And the cards that I decided to use those 2 stars on is Leap of Faith. And it's an action with a white icon that reads, scrap the top card of your deck, you may play that card. Then scrap another card from the top of your deck, you may play that card. So this is really going to, help us, do some additional damage or get us to play, some additional upgrades. But there's really no downside to this card at all. Like, really the only time that you're going to play this and, scrap something that you're not going to use is maybe when Dead End is not on the table anymore and you, scrap a marksmanship or you scrap a armed hovercraft, but for the most part, this is going to come in very handy and it's very strong. But we only had 2 stars remaining, so I went ahead and just put 2 copies of Leap of Faith in the deck. And the last card is Escape Route. And it's an action with a white and a green icon that says flip one of your characters from bot mode to alt mode. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to, help us make sure that Skywarp is in, the correct mode when he's attacking. So you can play, Escape Route on Skywarp, flipping him to alt mode, grabbing the card from your scrap pile, which of course you won't be able to play it because you played Escape Route, but this will allow you to go ahead and flip Skywarp back over, which, we want him to be in bot mode when he's attacking or defending. So this has a green icon, and we already have 38 cards, and I'm trying to keep it to 40. So we only have 2 copies of Escape Route in the deck. Okay, guys, that's my alternate version of a Skywarp deck. I've been playtesting it quite a bit, and it's been working pretty well. I think that there might be some additional tweaking that needs to happen with it, but because they Wreck and Rule posted that video today, I went ahead and posted this video to dedicate to them and show you guys what I've been working on. So Frenchie's been working hard on his version of Skywarp. I've been working hard on my version of Skywarp, and hopefully we can maybe grab some ideas from each other and break this character wide open. But again, if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon account. Again, check out Wreck and Rule's Patreon account. We really want to keep bringing you guys great content, but never forget that you can win if you dare. So take care, guys.